Dauphin's Country Fest Stories from the Hill, presented by Bell MTS,
is a look back at the roots of our festival, an authentic showcase of those special moments where artists and fans connected in their own way. There's so much more meaning to Dauphin's Country Fest than the party itself, stories we would like to share. It's easy to forget that this is a nonprofit organization when you see the unbelievable mark it's made on the community and the countless organizations that have benefited from it. Bell MTS's Stories from the Hill will highlight and keep some of those memories and special stories alive until the next time we can gather on the hill for Dauphin's Country Fest.
How you doing?
I'm good. One day at a time.
Yeah.
How are you doing? How's your family?
I know it's for the last 9-10 months. Asking people how they're doing is like, it's you get interesting. Well, there were interesting answers for a while, and now it's just like, yeah, we're doing okay.
Yeah, you're looking well, mate.
You too. You too. You were. Tracy said you were in the studio today.
Yeah, I was. I'm just putting. I just got a couple of finishing touches on a few things, and I was trying to get back, but I was going where I was. The route that I took sort of took me in a wee bit of a backward spot, and I get stuck in traffic. So I didn't want to be sitting in traffic trying to talk to you, So I thought it'd be best.
Honestly, I'm done for the day with everything else. So this is I was just watching some stuff. It's all good, no problem at all.
Perfect.
What are you working on?
Get this a couple of things. The thing that's coming up real close is the Gramps Morgan project, So I just cut a record on Shaggy and Gramps, which is super cool, man. So I wrote a song, produced a song, and I'm looking forward to kind of getting that out there, Paul. But
with Shaggy, Gramps and Shaggy?
Yeah. Pretty cool. I know, man. Was it me?
That is unbelievable, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man. I'm really excited about it. Gramps and I produced a full album on him, and he's Gramps Morgan, man, kind of Grammy Award winning reggae artist, part of a group named Morgan Heritage. But basically 10 years ago came up with a few big songs by himself.
Yeah.
And then took a long kind of hiatus, and he and I bumped into each other, and instantly just kind of clicked. And he heard a few of my songs, People Like You, A Woman Like You, and then I played him a whole bunch of other stuff that I'd written through the years that I had never really, I didn't know what I was going to do with it, Paul. It was a bunch of kind of island Jimmy Buffett type fun island stuff, and he just fell in love with it and said, I love all these songs. So he and I started recording some music together, and recorded some of my songs, and then he and I started writing a few songs, and before we knew it, we were up and away, and he had put me in touch. He and Shaggy were mates, and so we got on the phone with him, and we had a conversation about a song I wrote called Float Your Boat, and Shaggy just freaked out, loved the song, and that was it, man. Got him behind the microphone, and that's going to come out sometime in the summer, maybe like July or something. That'll come out.
That is what a lot of fun that must have been.
Yeah, big time. It's kind of out of my element, but it's out of my element, but kind of in my element. In the
while you're telling me that, I'm just thinking to myself of all the different the element. Everything is your element. You just love music.
I've had a good time. Time is fleeting, so I'm just trying my best to make the most of the situation we're in, and also work with really good people, Paul. I think you and I have spoken about that in the past, but surrounding yourself with positivity and good people, and just try to enjoy what we get to do for a living, and it's been really fun. I mean, a Scottish guy, Scottish Canadian guy in the studio with a bunch of, reggae Jamaican guys and Shaggy and all these other people. It's been a trip,
That sounds really good, man. I know a lot of reggae music is there's they focus on this a lot of similar things to country. You know, a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah.
A lot of in fact, when I was in Africa, in Tanzania, this is a long time ago, but I remember talking to some people before I went, and even after I came back, and realized that a lot of taxi cabs that you'll get into in different parts of Africa, they're playing country music. And what I mean, there's a few reasons for it. One, it's the beats are often similar, tempos are often similar. Unlike maybe a lot of rock or pop songs, it's easy to hear what people are saying, even if it's got a southern twang to it. The lyrics are discernible, so for people in different parts
Well,
of Africa, they kind of know what's going on.
it's really, you're quite right, and it's been really interesting, Paul.
And
You
in the
know,
Caribbean
I
in the
wrote that.
Caribbean as well.
Yeah, yeah. I wrote
Yeah.
that song, People Like You, for kind of sat down and put that song together for all the people up there in Nova Scotia and went through that really hard time there, with
Yeah.
the shooting and everything.
Yeah.
And Gramps heard that song and was like, man, like, I need to record this song. My community, my culture, my people will really appreciate the song. So we did that. And then I actually got another phone call for a guy named Elijah Diouf for Senegal.
Yeah.
And his camp, they were freaking out about the song. So he actually recorded the song as well. And Wolof is the language he recorded it in. So
Wow.
it just kind of goes to show you, mate, like, it doesn't really matter where you're from, a song's a song, and if it touches all the right pieces and touches your heart, it touches your heart to a lot of people, And country music is very interesting because, reggae, I mean, I think most people outside of Jamaica think Bob Marley, and Peter Tosh maybe, But when you're actually in Jamaica, the music industry is very, very dense. There's lots of artists, lots of singers, and there's all different styles, for dancehall, there's romantic songs, but the songs that really identified with me, and I think the songs of mine that identified with Gramps and a few other guys, were really just songs that I've built my whole career on, Thank You, Dance With Me, A Woman Like You, Change the World, Fire It Up, all these sort of, appreciation type things, like things that are worldly, God knows, Paul, I mean, I could try, I guess, but I don't even know what a dogwood tree or branch looks like, you know what I mean? So like for me to sing a song about hanging my wet t-shirt on a dogwood branch, I mean, it would be completely false, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm better singing songs about jumping off the Iron Brig down at the Clyde,
Yeah.
That's a more truthful place for me to come from, So.
Were you actually in the studio with these guys, like physically?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
they're in Nashville. He's in.
Well, this was, now remember, this was a lot of the stuff was pre-COVID.
Oh, okay.
So we were actually able to capture a lot of the recordings before we were told we couldn't be in the same place.
Yeah.
But then, because of technology, like 2 days ago, I mean, what I was doing this morning was we sent tracks to Jamaica, and we had a bass player in Tough Gong studio laying down a bass on another song that we have called Positive Vibration. And so he was, we were virtually in the studio together while he was laying down the bass part.
Listen to you, Tough Gong Studios. I mean, I know you weren't there in person, but I mean, that's where all the Bob Marley stuff came out of, right? That was his.
Man, it's crazy stuff, mate. Like,
yeah.
I've been sort of catapulted into this genre and into the culture, and it's been really, really cool. In fact, and you probably know this, patois is very similar to Glaswegian. There's a lot of the same things, you know what I mean? And the more red stripe you drink, the clearer it becomes.
Yeah, it's true. There'll be times, but as you know, my dad's from Glasgow, and there'll be times when he will actually be explaining what a word, like, I can't think of a specific example right now, but how somebody like the name Shuggy is somebody named Hugh. Like, yeah, right. And how my wife is just like, how do you get from one place to the other? It's like, you kind of don't, but it's just the way it is. And there are things like that in patois as well, right? Where one word, it has completely different vowels and consonants, means something completely else, and it makes perfect sense to people who speak patois.
Yeah, and and if you listen, it's loosening. A couple of things are backwards as well. Like
Yeah.
I was in there the other day, and this woman says, "Come ya na," and I went, "Come ya na." All right. For most people, what does that mean? You know? But for me, it was like one of my aunties telling me to come here. You know, come here, you. Come here, you. You know. So
I love it.
Was, very similar.
What a whole lot of fun, man. I mean, it's such a nice thing to be able to.
I'll send you a couple of tracks, man, for you to have a wee listen to.
I'd love to hear it. I love the idea. I love the idea of you continually kind of like expanding your parameters as you know, as the years go by, not just you know, you can double down on what you've done, but you take what you've learned, you take the hours and the experience, and now you're I mean, you're in there doing what you do because you know what you're doing, but also you're getting to kind of experience new things and you're learning at the same time. That's a great thing.
It's good, man. And you know, Paul, the other thing is self-growth is a very important thing for us, you know. And I also feel like when you've spent as much time as we have doing something, sometimes you forget how much you know. You know, sometimes you forget how much knowledge you've accumulated through the years. So it's very nice to be able to share that with people, especially young artists. You know, we have, as you know, we have our own record label now, you know. And we've been building that for several years. Tracy's running that. And I mean, that alone has been huge, you know, having the opportunity to find artists, write songs, record songs, release songs. And not only that, but have the infrastructure on the business side of things for that to take care of everything else that you're up to. So it's been great. I'm enjoying the process, and I have an open heart and an open mind to everything that might be ahead.
When was the last time you were on stage singing a Johnny Reid song?
It was Zurich, Switzerland, March 20th, 2020.
Okay, all right. So you were in Europe, and you that's when they shut it down and said you got to come home.
Yeah, we actually before the show started, the promoter came up to us before the show and said that the Swiss government had just announced that there was going to be, at that time, they didn't really know what it was. It was when it first happened.
Yeah.
And they were calling it distance dancing. And they said, Johnny, we don't want you to be upset because people are not dancing together, but the Swiss government has said that people have to be 10 feet apart. And I thought, wow, okay, whatever, that's fine. And then I opened up the newspaper, and there the coronavirus, the picture that we all saw was on the front cover of the newspaper. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, look, how serious is this? And he said, we think it's very serious because it was coming out of Italy at the time.
That's right. I remember.
And I basically walked off stage, Paul. They picked me up and they drove me back to the hotel. I packed my bag and I headed straight for the airport, and I was able to I got back into Canada. I went Zurich into Toronto, and then Toronto to Nashville. And it was 2 days before they shut down basically the whole thing. So pretty crazy, mate. And it looks like, I mean, at this point, who knows? I mean, it could be March of next year, Paul, before we get to go on stage. I don't know.
Did you have a band? Were you traveling with a band, or did you have family with you or anything?
Oh, we had the full band. I had 11 people with me.
Wow.
Yeah. And luckily, they were the majority of the band were all in the Toronto East Coast area. A couple of guys from Vancouver Island and stuff like that. But they were all everybody was able to get back. So. And
your family's okay?
Yeah, man. Everybody's good.
Everybody's good?
Jen's brilliant. She's she's great. The boys are good. Justin just started Ole Miss, so he's at university. I know. And Tyler, he's a senior at high school now. And I've got him in the studio, Paul.
Yeah.
He come up to me, he says, I'll send you some. He said, Dad, he's a football player, athlete guy. He said, Dad, maybe I could try singing a song. I said, yeah, why not? So he sang, and basically everybody went, wow. So we've been having a wee bit of fun, just him and I, because we have the time. So we've been in there going through old songs and doing some piano vocals, and it's been fun.
Does he sing like his old man?
I wish I could sing like him. Mate,
as
you know, I grew up we grew up in a different time.
Yeah.
I grew up before there was in-ear monitors. So if you wanted to be heard, you had to really, really give it.
Yeah.
You were trying to sing above the crowd and the. He is such a pristine, delicate voice, and it's stunning. It really is. I'm blown away by it. Not just because he's my boy, because we're always deadly honest with each other. But it's pretty. I'm gonna send you something. It's pretty incredible. Well, I've always said, to my kids, it's like if you want something bad enough, if you want something and you work hard enough at it, you're gonna get it at some level, And as I said to Tyler is going to go play college football here in America, but I had spoken to him about it, and I said, look, kid, like, you should not be identified by one thing, you should try everything and make sure you have a full life, because as you know, Paul, we get tied to what we do, and what we do becomes, for whatever reason, our identity, and you have to be deeper than that, you can't just be a singer, you got to be a brother, you got to be a son, you got to be a father, you got to be a friend, maybe you're into other stuff, like woodworking, or you enjoy the fishing or whatever it is, but you need to have some sort of balance. And you'll find that athletes do that, they have their sport.
That's right.
But they also have something, golf, or,
Yeah.
whatever it is that they enjoy, But I've noticed that, especially with the young lad, it's almost like a release for him. It's almost like I remember when I took him in that day, he started singing, and everybody just kind of went with this. And it was like I just watched the weight kind of come off of him, because I think up until that moment, he assumed that he was a football player. That was it. Right. See, that's been that was his identity for the young age of 6 or 7. Oh man, he's a great football player. Oh, he's a football player.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the running back for this, or he's the, and this is his identity, and it comes with a whole bunch of pressure. And it was very, very interesting to watch him in the studio, because it was like, hold on, maybe there's more to this than.
What kind of music does he like? What kind of music does he listen to?
Well, he's a wee bit of an old soul, we were in the studio 2 nights ago, and we were recording "I Can't Make You Love Me," the Bonnie Raitt song.
Sure, that's cool.
We were last week we were in there, and we were working "To Make You Feel My Love," the old Bob Dylan song that was redone by Garth Brooks, recorded it, and then Adele did a version. When the night, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's just so lovely, and I brought a guy named Gordon Mott into the studio, and Gordon has played on all my records. He's played on every record, to be honest with you. He's kind of like the guy here, and he's a blind gentleman, Paul. And he came into the studio, and he sat down at the grand piano, and he started playing, and Tyler started singing. And I mean, I didn't do nothing, man. I just sat there and pressed record,
Well, you were the facilitator. You put it all together.
Well, there's also great, engineers, and there's a whole bunch of people, mate. I'm just enjoying being part of the whole thing.
Okay, let's, if you don't mind, I need to get you to access the hard drive up there.
Okay.
How many times do you think, I don't actually have this number in front of me, but how many times do you think you've played Dauphin? Played Country Fest?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd say 4.
Yeah.
The reason I'd say that is because the first time I ever came there, I played the wee stage up at the top of the hill, and then I played again. I think it's 4. I think it's 4 times, maybe 5, maybe.
Yeah. Do you? Whenever I've been interviewing a bunch of people about their Country Fest memories over the last little while, and whenever I bring up the main stage, your name comes up a lot, because you're a bit and you know why? Do you know why?
The hot tub.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Just what comes to mind? Can you picture What happened? What is the legend of Johnny Reid in the hot tub story?
It actually, I've been on a couple of times now, but you know, they used to have, they had that hot tub at the side of the stage, you know, and I was so excited. I was just so excited to have a chance to play on the main stage. And there was so much anticipation, and I brought in the big band, and I mean, it was wicked. There was a great show, and the audience was incredible, and everybody was on their feet, and there was just so much energy coming off of that hill, you know. I thought, like, what? I mean, I was like, what else can I do? I mean, like people. This is it. Like I have reached the top of this mountain. Like I have taken people, for ladies and gentlemen, to as high as I can go.
Yeah.
And then I went, I think I'm going to cannonball in that hot tub. And Paul, the very first time I did it, I wasn't even thinking. I mean, I really wasn't even thinking. I just ran over there, and I just right in the hot tub.
What were you wearing?
I was wearing a white. Well, I was wearing black pants. I was wearing a white short, and I had my jacket off at that point, I believe. Okay. But what happened is I forgot that I was wearing all my electronics.
Yeah.
My in-ear pack, my in-ears,
thousands of dollars,
my microphone pack, everything. And anyways, I jumped in and I came out, and the place erupted. It was great fun. And the ladies that were in there, I guess they called them the Budweiser, whatever it was, I can't remember.
We called it girl soup. We called it girl soup, right?
Yeah, whatever it was. And they were just like in absolute shock, you know, that I had jumped in this hot tub. So the next morning, I'm at the airport, and there was some guy that said, there was some article somewhere that said Johnny Reid makes a big splash. You know? And I thought, wow, that's fantastic. I promised myself, I said, hey, if I ever come back here and play this, I'm hitting that hot tub again, you know? So sure enough, the next time we came, but this time I was smarter. This time I took off my
Yeah.
But the band was, I mean, it was a good laugh, right? And at the end of the day, Paul, that's what it should be about. You know, it's about having a great time with each other, and it's a great memory, man. It's something I'll always keep and never forget. You know,
it has come up a lot in discussions. I'm just telling you that right now. Whenever I mention memories of the stage, what's unique about the stage, and they'd say, well, they had that hot tub that Johnny Reid jumped into.
Is that not amazing?
Yeah, man.
It's great, man.
If it was still there, they would rename it the Johnny Reid hot tub, I think.
The Johnny Reid hot tub. Well, I'll tell you, I came back, and Jen looks at me. She says, I cannot believe that you went in that hot tub. And I started laughing, and I went to give her a hug. She says, no chance. She goes, you're going to get, you know, I was getting rubbed in Dettol, you know.
I know.
No telling what was in that hot tub at that point. I think it was a Saturday night.
You are brave on multiple levels.
Just glad I had no open wounds. You know?
Oh, jeez. Oh my God. That's amazing. I don't know what it's like. I've stood on that stage and introduced bands before. When the crowd when it's packed and at night with the lights on and everything. So I know what it's like to stand there. I don't know what it's like to get what you get though. So I know what the visual is. I've got a great idea about what it looks like. What does it feel? That stage is so unique because it rises up away from you. And you've got the crowd down right below you as well. So it's enveloping. It's a different kind of experience there. What does it feel like to have that crowd standing up, roaring at you while you're performing a song?
Well, it is a different experience, and through the years, you know, it's a different experience every time you go. You know, different people, different energy. But you have to be ready for that. You know, you got to be psychologically ready to play Dauphin, because you see, when you play anywhere else, any other festivals, you're always looking down. You know, there's this kind of like, you're looking out and down. You know, and when you're there, you got to have a certain level of confidence, not only in yourself but a certain level of confidence in the people that you have on stage with you, because you you definitely feel like, you know, you feel like people are like, you know, they're all eyes on you kind
Yeah.
of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So that can be terribly intimidating for a lot of people, you know. But it's a very special place. It has that sort of almost like playing a theatre,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like it's got a rake, but it's
Yeah.
a very steep, rake, you know, and it's a very interesting energy. But it's always been very gracious, always been a wonderful time, and I've enjoyed every minute that I've spent at Dauphin.
That's an interesting insight, Johnny. The fact that you saying you have to be ready to play it, and I totally understand what you mean. There's nowhere to hide really when you're on that
No.
stage, right? Because it's not the whole stage is almost a thrust.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Paul. But the thing is that a lot of entertainers, you know, through my experience, will never use a thrust.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of entertainers, you know, they stay behind the monitor line. You know, and at Dauphin, you don't really have that luxury
Oh, you don't.
because if you don't use that thrust, there is a clear 20-foot disconnect.
Yeah.
You know, so you really, it's a great opportunity if you trust your artistry and trust your songs and trust the people on stage with you. It has all the ingredients of being an unbelievable and unforgettable night of music.
Amazing. Well said, my friend. Well said. I mean, you obviously are plugged into what's going on down in Nashville and in lots of different areas. I know that obviously in the States and in state to state in the United States, people are handling the time right now a little bit differently. What are you hearing? Are you hearing, is there optimism in the music community? I know there's obviously concern for not only the people who are artists, but the support system for musicians, the labels, touring managers, techs,
Yeah.
all those people that make the industry actually happen. What are you hearing?
First of all, it's a very crazy time. You know, we were the first. We were some of the first to be taken off of stages, and we're probably going to be the last to get back. You know, just given the fact that a very important component of live music is an audience. You know, but not only an audience, but a venue, Paul. There's so many venues across the country, Canada, America, around the world, that are actually closing their doors forever because they simply cannot afford to pay the bills any longer, you know. The other techs, bus drivers, truck drivers, a lot of guys have been forced to go do something else, you know, go pick up a job, factory night work, whatever it is, just to kind of keep the bills paid and the babies fed, you know. I mean, I don't. It's a crazy time, and everybody around me seems to be very optimistic.
Yeah.
Everybody has a very optimistic attitude of, hey, it's tough. There's going to be a lot of sacrifices made here and there, but we will get back. We will be able to walk back on a stage, get back in a bus, get the trucks on the road. You know, we will be able to take care of our families by singing songs and telling stories and playing music. There's an optimistic attitude towards it, but it's tough. I'm telling you, Paul, it's like I'm watching guys just go through, women, men, all go through tough times.
One of the things that the good people at Country Fest who work behind the scenes year round to make sure the festival happens every summer, they obviously weren't able to put the festival on last year. They realize that number one, obviously, is the safety and the health of people who would come to the festival, the people that keep the festivals alive, right? So if it means that the festival doesn't go on again in 2021, that'll just mean that we can keep going on for decades to come, right? There's a responsibility that you have as an artist. I would think that it's probably crossed your mind if somebody came and said, hey, listen, Tennessee, we've lifted everything, you can go and do a show. I would imagine you would probably have to think long and hard about doing that, knowing full well that not everybody's going to be vaccinated yet, that you would hate to have something on your conscience where you knew that something happened at a venue where somebody caught something and took it home to somebody and it affected somebody's life in a negative way. That's kind of, I think, the way that festivals and I mean, obviously the industry wise, everybody has to keep moving ahead like it's going to open up. But I would think that you've probably had this thought yourself as a performer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to respect. You know, I
Yeah.
think that we have to respect. Well, listen, whether you believe that this thing's real or whether you believe that it's not real, you know, it's irrelevant what you believe, really. Only because it is what it is. You know, it's right in front of us, and we have to be respectful. I mean, like for instance, when I go to the grocery store or when I go this morning, I swung by Starbucks there. You know, there's an old guy in there. You know, an old guy. I mean, I want to say maybe in his mid 80s, maybe even his early 90s. And then there's a few guys in the parking lot, and I'm thinking, are these guys going to put their mask on? You know, of course I'm going to put my mask on. You know, for a bunch of reasons, but especially for that old fella. You know, this guy's probably made it through wars. You know, and I'm going to go in there and you know be a guy that could potentially, you know, be the reason this old man leaves the world. That's terribly selfish. You know, I think it's just about following guidelines, using common sense. Really, I mean, I think that's what it's about.
Yeah.
As far as the country, you know, festivals and all that stuff, it's very important we save lives than save festivals. You know, this festival, your festival, every festival, they don't run without people, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, they don't. And whether it be entertainers or techs or crews or volunteers or, you know, they just don't run without people. So we've got to take care of the people. And I think it's safe to say that when things do open back up, when somebody says, hey, we're good, then they better make sure they've got a big ass hot tub up at Dolphin. Because I'm going, it might be Olympic levels of hot tub splashing going on that night, you know.
If your wife hears that, she's going to say, you have to take your own hot tub with you and you have to set it up and you have to make sure that you provide the water and the chlorine and all of that stuff.
Oh, believe me, my wife is ready to look at the back of me. I don't think she's going to care what hot tub. I mean, she's just like, you know, do you have a gig coming up soon? You know, or airlines flying again? You know? I mean, Jen and
your suitcase is right there, honey.
Mate, we've not spent this much time together ever.
I know.
You know, and she loves me. I know she loves me, but I'm kind of getting the feeling that she's ready for me to get back on the road.
I talked to Keith Urban not that long ago, and he said he felt like he was unemployed. He's like, I feel like he goes, obviously I'm going to be okay. I'm in a fortunate position. I've had a great career and a long career, but yeah. I feel, he was like, I feel unemployed because Zoom stuff and interviews and promotion for an album and stuff is one thing, but that always felt ancillary or peripheral to the main thing, which was being on stage and performing.
Well, and the other thing, you know, you mentioned another thing, which is, you know, the first 10 or 12 years of my career, I mean, you know, it wasn't easy, man. It was, you know, a lot of sacrifice. It was tough financially, you know. I remember waiting on a Sunday to come because the chocolate muffins at Kroger were half price, you know what I mean? Like I remember that, you know, and I just cannot imagine being a young artist or being an artist that was just getting started and this happens, you know. I'm sure, in fact, I'm positive that we've probably lost a lot of incredible talents to this pandemic, that they've been forced to go do something else. And I just hope and pray that we figure out a way to get them back. You know, I hope that we get a chance to hear what they have to say. You know?
That's interesting that you said that. Terry Clark mentioned that as well. She was just talking about how difficult it would be if you were just maybe starting to get a little bit of momentum, or if you just got an opening slot on a tour for the first time, or if you just, and to have that, you know, roadblock presented.
Yeah, I guess it's the main moments though, you know, they're the real testers, you know, like they're the minutes where you take a look at yourself and you have to really dig deep to get through it. And you know, anybody that's done anything, Paul, we've had their moments, you know, multiple times, you know, where you're tested and you have to make a decision if this is something you really want, you know.
I don't want to put you on the spot too much here, but I know so you're working on some music with other people. What about Johnny Reid music?
Mate, Paul, I've been busy. I finished a new album Yeah, I finished a new album. I shouldn't say finished. I'm almost finished a new album, and that'll get delivered to Universal Records probably June. By the time everything's done, and probably September, October.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You'd have a brand new record, and it's been really cool because usually you're in the studio and then you're on the road and then you're back in the studio and then you're on the road and then you're in the studio. Well, this record was amazing because I really had so much time to really focus on what I wanted it to be, and to make sure that it was a full album, that it was complete, and it was started and finished, and it sounds like a one big piece of art.
I'm excited about that. Have you written a bunch of the songs?
I wrote other songs, yeah.
All the songs, yeah.
Yeah, I've actually got I've got one cover on there. I've got one cover song on there.
Okay, so when did you write the music? When did you write?
I wrote the music. I usually start writing when I'm on the road. So basically, Paul, as you know, my whole life for 24 years has been I write a song, I record a song, I release a song, and I tour the song.
Yeah.
And then I come back and it starts again. That was the cycle, they called it, right? That's changed, obviously, with digital and all that stuff. But it's still my cycle. That's what I do. I write songs, I record them, I release them, and I tour them.
Yeah.
When I'm touring is basically when I start writing.
Okay.
Again. Touring sounds glamorous to a lot of people, and at times it can be. But the majority of the time, I find myself in a hotel room by myself. You know, I wake up in a venue, and I go in the changing room or whatever that is, and I spend my day there. So that's usually when I start writing, and that's what I did. So on the last tour that we did, I started writing for a new record, and when I got back and all this craziness hit, I thought, hey, it's a perfect time. Perfect time for me to.
It was all written before the pandemic.
It was. I had some ideas before the pandemic, and then when I came back from Switzerland, which was in March, I made the decision that I was going to start. I wasn't even going to do a new record till maybe next year. Yeah. But I was like, man, I'm going to go and start, making a record. I can only wash the house so many times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So started just working. I brought in a great drummer, Fred Eldrington, incredible drummer. Jimmy Lee Slows on bass, Tom Bukovac on guitar. Just incredible musicians. And we locked ourselves away and really landed on what I wanted it to be. As you know, I enjoy singing all over the place, different things. But I really wanted to make a country record, Paul.
Yeah.
My style of country music, what people associate with me, So I brought Paul Franklin in there on steel guitar. It's just a collection of songs that I'm really proud of, and speak volumes to kind of where I found myself in the past couple of years,
I love it, man. That's good news. I was wondering about that, just because I know that some artists I've talked to have said, hey, this time I've got, just like you, I can focus on some writing. I got the time because I'm not being pulled off for all these different events and appointments and whatever, because we can't do it right now. So let's use the time productively. And other artists I've spoken to have had a tough time finding inspiration to write. They've because sometimes that comes from interaction with people. It comes from traveling around the planet, from moving physically, and other people who just had problems with motivation. The spark in their life has been a bit dimmed, right? The light has been dimmed a little bit, so they had a tough time. So it's been interesting to see both, and I totally get both sides of it.
It's funny though, Paul, that there is no such a thing as light without darkness. Like for me, I find it to be highly inspirational. Maybe it's the Scottish in me, Paul. I like dark things. I find it terribly inspirational. Because I'm surrounded by the people and the things that I want to write songs about. And that's what I did. I just sort of sat down and wrote a bunch of songs that spoke to me during this time, and I wanted to go in and take a real acoustic approach to a lot of things. Still drums and bass and all that good stuff. But I definitely wanted to really lean on my more Celtic country soul thing that I enjoy there, you know.
Well, I think you might have trouble finding a market for it, Johnny. There's so many people doing that right now.
Yeah, man. I got to tell you, Paul, this is funny. I think I might have told you this before, but one of the greatest things that ever happened was I was in a studio with Bob Ezrin, and we were recording a record, and one of Bob's old rock and roll friends, I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody he knew. He was in the same studio complex, and he came in the studio and he said, "Hey man, blah 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 blah," and we quick convo, and then he said to Bob, he says, "So what are you doing, man?" And Bob says, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, like, is this a rock album, a blues album? Like, what kind of album is this, man?" And Bob, cool as a cucumber, man, he just looks at me and he said, "It's a Johnny Reid record, man."
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember that feeling, because, we get so caught up in like, what is it? Where does it fit? And I think maybe I've had some real highs, where Canadian country radio really supported what I was up to, A Woman Like You and Darling, and that, there was a time. And then when things kind of started switching into, I guess what you would call maybe a modern country song for Florida Georgia Line, what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I sure do.
There wasn't as much bandwidth for a guy like me, But the magic is that I've not really changed much, since the day I started.
Yeah.
So what I'm excited about is I'm excited about what I've just completed, because it's an extension of what I do. So, I don't really fit inside a genre. And it's a blessing and a curse, Paul. It always has been. I've somehow been fortunate enough to find an incredible audience that appreciates what I have to say and how I wish to say it.
And you're a reggae producer.
And I'm a reggae producer. Johnny Weed.
Yes, baby. Did you say Johnny Weed?
I never said that. I always thought it would be a great reggae band, Johnny Weed and his contraband.
Let's go.
I always thought that would be really great, Paul.
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, pretty good, right?
That's
Anyways,
pretty good.
no, man, I'm really excited, Paul. Listen, man. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we're still here, man.
Yeah, baby.
And there's an old saying that said, "No man is promised tomorrow." So I think having a positive outlook on this, and turning to the ones you love and making sure they know it, and leaning on each other a wee bit during this time, I think is going to go a long ways, and I'm very saddened that I'm not going to be able to come to Dauphin. I was sad that it was cancelled last year. I'll be sad if it's cancelled this year, but rest assured that when I get a chance to come back and I get a chance to be part of that show, I will bring all that anticipation and all that pent up energy. And I just, I think everybody will feel the same. And as good as it's been in the past, I have to imagine that because of all this craziness and because of how we're feeling, that when they say, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take this thing to a whole new level," it's going to be a whole new thing.
I just got goosebumps, dude.
Yeah. I believe that. I believe that.
I know you do. So do I. So do I now. I now. Thanks for this, pal.
Yeah, man. No problem. Nice to see you, man.